Now let's go to St. Mary's. Ravenswood taking on the Lady Blue Devils. Runner on third, Josie Caldwell lines one to third, and Madison Lambert, the diving stop, and making the throw to boot in time at home. Bottom first, Landry Riggs leads off with a single into center field. That's how you start the game on offense. Runners in scoring position. Mia Christensen lays down the bunt, and Riggs will come all the way around to score from first, 1-0. Lady Blue Devils strike first. First pitch of the second inning, Montana Slater rips the ball into right, and she'll hustle into second for a leadoff double. Kinsey Shoebate now going to line a ball into left. That'll put runners on the corners for the Devilettes. Peyton Mass grounder to second. That'll do a job to tie the game. 1-1 is the score. In the circle, Autumn Mosser going to get the strikeout swinging to end the inning, but Ravenswood goes on to get the one-run victory.